Zion Williamson's one of the most promising young prospects in the NBA today, but thanks to injury troubles, he's missed out on a lot of games ever since New Orleans drafted him. Now that the athlete's finally healthy, he recently hit the 100-game mark after almost 3 years. So sit back as we look at what we've learned from his performances so far, plus some more. Let's get right into it. First up, how's the beginning of Zion's career stacking up against the all-time greats? There's no doubt in anyone's mind that when Zion's out on the court, he's a literal monster. And that's why his first 100 games have been beyond impressive. Williamson averaged 25.2 points per game on 60% shooting during this stretch. And guess what? No other player to debut in the shot clock era could ever put up those kinds of numbers through their first 100 games. Plus, the 22-year-old's only the 12th player in NBA history to rack up at least 2,500 points after their first 100 games. And he's the first player since Michael Jordan to achieve this amazing feat. The only other players who have pulled this off are Wilt, Walt Bellamy, the Big O, Kareem, George Mikan, Rick Barry, David Thompson, and Billy Knight. So as you can see, this is some pretty elite territory to be in. And get this, Williamson has 42 games with at least 20 points in the restricted area during this 100-game stretch. So, you know how impressive that is? No other player who debuted in the last 25 years has been able to even do this 10 times during their first 100 games. What's more, Zion has 1,898 points in the paint during this stretch. The only other player able to achieve this feat in the last 25 seasons was Shaquille O'Neal, and even he couldn't do it in his first 100 games. Moving on, what else has he been able to achieve during this stretch? Williamson also has 54 career games with 25 points while shooting 50% from the field, which ties him with Kareem in the second most by any players through their first 100 games in the shot clock era. Also, Zion put up at least 10 points in 98 of his games during this stretch, tying for second on this list as Joel also had 98, with Blake Griffin having 99. And of course, we can't forget about the fact that Williamson scored at least 20 points in 83 of his first 100 games. That's the most for any player since Jordan had 85 such games to begin his career. As you can tell, the 22-year-old's been a menace, and if his first 100 games are an indication of anything, then he's gonna be a problem for many years to come. Some even say he could be a LeBron or Shaq type player. And if you see him play, that comparison definitely makes sense. Up next, let's look at what Williamson had to say about his journey so far. After putting up 23 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists, and 3 blocks against the Thunder on the 28th of November, Williamson said that it's been a long journey and that he wishes things could have gone differently. He really wanted to be more active ever since the beginning of his career. But at the end of the day, the 22-year-old said he's grateful that he went through those tough times because they helped him realize a lot, mentally as well as spiritually, while also helping him grow as a man. There's no doubt that even though Williamson's been great through his first 100 games, he's had a rough start to his career. Since his rookie year, Zion's had 2 injuries, 3 different head coaches, and watched the Pelicans roster change quite a bit as well. According to Zion, he felt the worst during the 2022 season. After a win against Brooklyn back in October, he told reporters about the time when the Pelicans assistant coach, Teresa Weatherspoon, asked him about how he was doing last season, and he told her that he wasn't doing okay at all. Weatherspoon understood how tough it was and even cried for the young athlete. Thankfully, things have changed now, and Zion feels better than ever. Following that, why'd he miss so many games? After Zion's 33-point, 10-rebound outing against the Raptors, he's only played in 101 games out of a possible 246. But that's only because of how injury-plagued his career's been so far. It all began when he tore his lateral meniscus soreness in his right knee, right before his rookie campaign was set to begin. The injury forced Williamson to sit out 44 games before he debuted against the Lakers in January 2020 and did his best Steph Curry impression, going 4 for 4 from deep. Then, thanks to COVID-19, the 2020 season had to be cut short, and Zion barely played in the bubble anyway, as he left just before the games started due to a family medical matter. When he returned to the bubble, he was on a minutes restriction, and the Pelicans failed to even make the first ever play-in. Then came his 2021 season, which was easily his best season yet. He posted 27 points on 61% shooting while grabbing 7 boards. He only missed 11 games, with 10 because of an injury, but overall, everyone thought he was gonna remain healthy from here on out. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case, as he got hit with his most serious injury prior to the start of the 2022 season. He underwent surgery to repair a fractured right foot and ended up missing the entire campaign. Zion's had some hip and right foot soreness this season, but it doesn't seem like anything major, so hopefully he can continue to go off on teams this year. Coming up, can Zion win the MVP award this year? Following his outburst against Toronto, we think the first-time All-Star has to be in the MVP race. He's currently the leading point scorer on the Pelicans with 23.1, while also securing 6.6 rebounds, 4.1 assists, and 1.3 steals. Thanks to his efforts, New Orleans has quietly made their way up to the 3rd spot in the competitive Western Conference with a record of 13-8. Sure, he has Brandon Ingram and CJ McCollum by his side, but he's clearly the best player on the team by far. If Zion stays healthy all season long and helps the Pelicans stay a top 3 team in the West while slightly bumping up his points and rebounds, there's a great chance Zion can win the award. Now, let's talk about how fans have body-shamed Zion through his struggles. Starting off, what people have said about Williamson's weight. To be an athlete, you need to conform to a certain look, and when a player isn't able to do that, he's made to feel terrible by many people, especially the fans. Even though there's increased awareness about such matters now, a lot of immature people still pounce on any opportunity they can get to ridicule someone for their weight. And unfortunately for Zion, he's had to deal with the brunt of the body shaming in the realm of the NBA. Not only did analysts and reporters constantly criticize his body almost every time they talked about him, but fans would always take it a step further and bring his weight into the discussion for no reason. For example, when House of Highlights posted a video of the 22-year-old asking the reporters a question while doing his best Drewski impression, one user commented that he stole Drewski's flow and his diet. Now, we don't know about you guys, but that was pretty uncalled for, and this is just one of many examples where fans have been really rude about his weight. Other times, they've straight up called him fat and that he waddles like a penguin, even though it just made no sense to bring any of that up. But thankfully for himself, Zion's in great shape once again. Finally, how much has the body shaming affected Williamson? Clearly, it's affected him a lot based on what he recently said to Jen Hale following his dominant performance against the Spurs. As it was the eve of Thanksgiving, she asked him what his favorite dish was and which food he was the most excited to eat. But the one-time All-Star didn't answer the question, as he smiled and said that she was trying to set him up because, according to him, no matter what answer he gave, he knew social media was gonna clown him. Sure, he said all that with a smile, but he's obviously sick and tired of what the media's said about his weight in the past. Plus, earlier in November, he also spoke about how much the body shaming got to him. Williamson spoke to Fox Sports and said that no one ever realized the effect it had on him when literally everyone was just focusing on and critiquing his weight, even though he was already going through a tough time. He also added that it was nasty to troll him for his weight gain because he was dealing with a lower body injury, which meant he couldn't walk or run much. So there wasn't much he could have done. But now that's all in the past, and hopefully Zion can use all the hate to add some extra fuel to the fire. That's a wrap for this video. Are you guys amazed to see how impressive Zion's first 100 games were? Or did you expect nothing less? Let us know in the comments below. As always, remember to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.